Hello and welcome to Mum's Half Hour. I'm Tamsin Outhwaite. On the second Friday of every month for the next 6 months, we'll be bringing you Mum's Half Hour, a chance for you to enjoy the conversation and thoughts of other mums and let off a little steam on the issues which matter to you. Now, the series is fully interactive, so you can get your questions and comments to us right now, and we'll receive them live in the studio or post them in advance of every show, and the Mum's Half Hour team will select as many as possible. We'll also be giving you the opportunity to win a year's supply of Start-rite shoes for your children in each and every episode. So stay tuned to find out how to enter. Today we'll be talking parental pressures, and being a working mum doesn't make things any easier. We will focus on returning to work after giving birth and childcare, managing your career with little ones, and making sure that your sales bargains are the right fit for your children's feet. But before we do that, let me introduce you to our first Mum's Half Hour panel. Joining me today, a mum of one, Stephanie Kilshaw, mum of two, Nifa McLaughlin, and mum of three, Jane Everson, all of whom have their own unique experiences and opinions to share. Ladies, welcome and congratulations on making the panel.
Thank you.
Now, don't forget, this is a live show, so if you have any questions or comments for our panel, please use the box on your screen, click send, and we'll do our best to tackle them over the course of the show. And if you're tweeting whilst watching the show, you can get involved with the conversation by using the hashtag #MumsHalfHour. So, ladies, now when I first had my daughter, well, the first time I went back to work, I would say that the pressure or the feeling for me was very bittersweet. I was quite pleased to be, liberated in a way and out of the house. But at the same time, I missed her desperately. How did you all feel?
I think much the same as yourself. I think really it's a double-edged sword, should we say. It's very nice to be an individual, a person again, but also you feel very guilty at first going back to work and leaving your child. But again, I think you need to regain your independence, and it's a really nice feeling. I don't know about the other ladies.
Is guilt a common thing? I mean, guilt doesn't leave you, does it?
No.
Ever, as a mum?
My mother said that it will be until you die. You have that guilt, even when they're sort of in their 50s. You'll still be guilty. You know, certainly my experience with my children. I started my business up from home. I obviously have premises now, but even though my child was perfectly safe and happy, if I stuck him in front of the television while I was answering some emails or calls, I would feel guilty and somehow think that he was going to be psychologically damaged because I was doing it. And it's just a normal thing to do, but you do feel guilty.
Yeah, I think that's quite normal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you first go back to work, you have about 2 weeks where it's excruciating and you can't think of anything but your baby, and everything you look at reminds you that you're not with them. And then slowly and slowly you just get used to being back, and you get used to being part of a team, or probably in your case, just got back into work. And you start to enjoy your work, and actually enjoying your work makes you feel guilty as well, because you think, I'm actually quite enjoying this.
Well, and the other thing is, I don't know about you, but pressure from other mums about when is the right time to go back to work. Is there a right time?
I think it's a personal decision. Only you can make that decision. And I think with some of the HR laws that are around at the moment now, I think it's almost a pick and choose for yourself. You can actually go back early or a bit later now, and things are a lot more relaxed. I went back after 3 months, and although I felt guilty, I was ready to go back. I was ready to start putting a different routine in my life other than 4 hours of feeding, changing and everything else that goes along with being a new mum. So,
and what did you do childcare wise at that time?
I was very lucky actually. Meg's father, his sister had Meg for me for the first 2 years of me returning to work, so it was almost like a family friend, and she knew her, so I was part of the lucky set. But I do appreciate when people have to go and use a childminder they've never used before.
That's it. It's like it's the most precious thing in your life that you're leaving with someone, and unless it's a family member, there's an awful lot of trust that comes into play there. Whether it's a nanny or a childminder or a friend or.
We had a nanny, and it was very hard coming to that decision, but my children the eldest was 10 months when I went back to work, and the little one was 7 months when I went back again to work. And we chose a nanny just because, you know, we both work and it's very difficult to find, you know, like a childminder or a nursery that takes little children and can accommodate you, you know, to be flexible. You need someone that's going to be there if you're, you know, if you suddenly need to be half an hour late or you're stuck on the tube. You know, it's very difficult to have to rush back to get your child. But it's the worst thing, suddenly leaving your child with somebody who really you don't know that much about. But you have to just go on your instinct.
Did you interview people?
Yeah, we interviewed loads and loads of women, and I really went on references as well. So I phoned up other mums and said, what was she like? And in the end, we decided on our nanny because I phoned up the reference and they said, oh yeah, we went on holiday and we left her with the kids for 2 weeks. And I thought, anyone that would go on holiday and leave their kids with a nanny, she must be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then instinct, you have to go with your mother's instinct, your own instinct.
Yeah, it's hard. You do get it wrong though. Sometimes we employed one this week and unfortunately had to let her go because she was off sick most of the week. So today I've had emergency childcare. I've got a lady who works in my business looking after my youngest this morning and the cleaner this afternoon. It sounds awful, but
no, it's just a juggling of
she's
just being a mum, isn't it?
Yeah, she's worked for us for 5 years and she loves Joe, so you know, but that is being a mum, you know. It's just, and I was close to sort of thinking, do I cancel today? And I thought, no, I need to do it for me.
Yeah.
You know, this is,
and a support network around you I think is really important. For me, friends that live nearby that I can phone and say.
You still feel guilty, don't you?
Yes.
And you don't want to overuse their help. That's what I find. I sort of a lot. I go around all my friends.
The uses.
Yeah.
And also, if you're a working mum, you can't return the favour. You can't always say, "Well, I'll look after them next week," because you can't.
So you've got that guilt as well.
Yeah.
I've got a question here from Paula that says, I'm an anxious mum. I worry about everything, and when my children are with their childminder, I just can't relax. Having a childminder is a new development for us. How can I calm my nerves? Is it normal to be such a worrier?
Oh, I think it's very normal to be a worrier. And it's probably something that's going to take time, so you know, give it a bit of time and you'll start to, you know, see that your child's really happy. But the other thing to do is maybe ask the childminder to write down what their child's doing in the day, so you can get a bit of...
Like a little log.
Yeah, like a log, like a little diary, because especially if you've got a little baby, they can't tell you that they're happy or not, or that they've had fun building blocks or whatever it is. So ask the childminder for a bit of feedback as well.
What I did was I went back, I did a series when my daughter was 4 months old, and the hours we do can be 5 in the morning till 9 at night. So I worked on one series and I didn't see her awake for most of it. But then of course for the next 6 months I was in her pocket. So. And my nanny at the time wrote a daily diary as if it was coming from her, saying, you know, I drank all of my milk this morning, but then I wouldn't do this, and then, you know. So I've always got that from that time. And although I felt guilty for being out of her life for something like 10 weeks, I still know that I've got that of what she was doing as a reference. But
and you can give that to her at some point, which is lovely.
And she'll say, I never felt like that.
At nursery they do let you, there was one that I went to, it was a Montessori in Winchester, and you could actually sit in a gallery, like a viewing gallery, and the child didn't know you were there and you could watch them. And you know, that might be something she could do with the childminder, if she could just be secreted away.
Hiding behind the curtains.
Yeah, just for an hour, just to reassure herself that actually her child's fine, you know. And
what did any of you find it a shock going back to work? You know, some people say, you know, they're looking forward to going back to work, and when they do, the emotional tug that happens is so strong that they're shocked by it. And
I think really my experience was the simple tasks I used to perform before became mammoth. I couldn't concentrate at all when I first returned, and it was because I was so worried that I thought, you know, I've left her for the day. What happens if, oh, she doesn't know she's getting fed at 11 o'clock today, she's due some Calpol at 12 o'clock. And I'd constantly find myself worrying about these things rather than actually the tasks that I was supposed to be undertaking in work. And I just think sometimes there's a problem with the concentration levels, which can sometimes make you panic a little as well.
It's also, when that happens, it's priorities. Once you have a child, nothing else seems to be as important, because it isn't. So your job probably starts to feel less important to you.
Yes.
And then it's harder to concentrate on it. I've got a question here from Stephanie, who says, my daughter is coming up to 5 and I'm thinking of returning to work at 5, so she's had a long time at home with her now, but she's worried about how her daughter will adapt to this. any advice?
Gosh, well, I mean, it's great that she's had that long time off with her daughter,
That's
but she's probably, it's a real luxury, and she's probably thinking, am I going to be able to, you know, use the computer again or whatever it is? But I think it would be absolutely fine, and presumably her daughter's in school, so she's able to...
She'll have distractions.
She'll have distractions, and also she knows that the child is somewhere where she's happy and she's learning, so it's not like she has to get used to a childminding situation or the child's very young. But, you know, it might be worth her talking to her work and seeing if she can go and do a couple of days before she actually starts, and just to get back into it, and, you know, have a go at the things that she might be doing. And
take her daughter to the workplace as well, so she knows where
she is.
Because I think with my son, sometimes my youngest one, that's his nervousness. He doesn't quite understand where mummy is and whether she's coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. No, children don't really understand why you work. You know, both my daughters don't understand why I'm not at the school gates every day, and other people's mums are.
Someone else's mummy is. You always get that comment. It's like, why can't you come and watch me play cricket?
Yeah, and you do have to sit them down and say to them, I work so that we can have, you know, nice things, or so that we can go here and
holidays.
Go there. You know, I like to give them a reason for, you know, we don't just have all these lovely things. We have to work for them.
But in an ideal world, I think doing like 4 or 5 hours a day as a mum would be perfect, or 2 full days a week, so that you're... But it doesn't work like that. No. And I don't know many jobs that offer that.
I think as well, because I'm self-employed, I'm quite lucky in respect that probably 1 day out of 5 I can actually go to the school gates for 3:15 and surprise Meg, rather than her being picked up by the childminder. And I think if you just make the effort to do those little bits as well whenever you can, it's so much reward on the child's face to actually see that. It's lovely.
There's also a lot to be said, I think, for... We always used to joke that our daughter was being brought up by committee, because, you know, we were all juggling, and everybody was kind of putting their bit in, godparents, parents, grandparents, and it makes for quite a sociable child, which I quite like. Because
my children are very confident socially, and I think that's why they're not clingy.
That's what you don't want them, so that they only will be... I mean, you know, they can be a mummy's child or a daddy's child, but the idea of them only being able to be looked after by the parents, I didn't really want.
Well, I'm not actually with Megan's father anymore, and her father has another partner, as I do, and it's great because Meg has every other weekend with her dad and every other weekend with me, and although some people dread the thought of actually splitting that time, and I do miss her, she has become such a social butterfly because of it. She's got so many different experiences through things that we like doing and things she likes doing with her dad as well. So,
and I would imagine that's quite nice for you to have some time to yourself.
Oh, it's lovely. We can go golfing at the weekend sometimes.
You know, there are pluses to that, and I would say she probably has 2 sets of parents in a way.
Yes, she does. 2 Christmases and 2 birthdays.
Exactly.
I think it affects us more than them, doesn't it? It's like my youngest this morning went off saying, I'm with Kelly today, and I was like, oh. He was like really excited, you know, and it's great, but you sort of think he's not going to miss me at all.
Well, it's good to make your children adapt to different circumstances, because if they're not used to that, and then you have to someone has to look after them, they can't cope. But if they're used to, you know, having to be with someone here and someone else, you know, then it's great. You know, they are going to turn out to be a bit more social and a bit more adaptable.
What do you feel about like employers that are quite open to you taking maternity leave? Have they, in your cases, if you weren't self-employed, been quite flexible? Have you had flexi time? Have they been understanding?
I worked as employed for 2 years. I only started my business up 3 years ago, and Meg's 5. So when I returned to work, obviously, I was worried about getting the phone call to say that Meg was unwell and that I'd need to go to the nursery. But the employers have been fine. I think I actually incidentally worked in HR, so
they could say had to be understand.
But I think, you know, the law is geared for not just mums but dads as well, parents, to take this time off now. There are a certain amount of days you can have with your child who, you know, when they're sick, and I think it's worth investigating these things as well on the internet if you're not sure as a new parent what you're allowed to take, because there are guidelines that you can look at to, you know, to help you along with things like that.
But would you say that working from home has got to be the best option? with a young child?
Sometimes it can be hard to concentrate.
Back to that.
Yeah,
I know.
You have to be very disciplined.
Yeah,
yes,
I work
you do.
at night.
Yeah.
I do a lot of my work at night. It sounds awful. Fortunately, my husband's away 2 or 3 nights a week, so that's when I really focus in and do a lot of
when the kids go to bed, it's your time.
But as they're getting older, it's actually getting more difficult, because my 9-year-old will constantly keep coming down now. You know, that typical excuses for a drink, he wants something to eat. So by the time I'm actually sat down properly concentrating, it's about 9 o'clock now.
Yeah, I don't think anyone sits down before 9:30 at night.
No.
Or eats before 9:30.
Yeah.
One little thing that's quite topical, I've got a question here from Lauren. I'm completely out of ideas on what to do with the kids for the summer holidays. I'm also struggling cash-wise, so any tips on cheap and cheerful activities would be greatly received.
Oh well, I've got a season ticket to the museum now.
Oh
Meg
really?
loves the museum, and it's cheap. Well, it's a donation in a box, and especially because I'm from Liverpool, there's 7 floors of everything they could possibly do, and in the school holidays they have various exhibitions on as well, and she just loves it, and she's 5, and I always thought, oh, she's probably a bit too young for this, but it's great, fabulous.
And also parks don't cost anything. Picnics in parks where there's swings.
Parks, get together with another mum, another couple of mums and the kids.
Other kids.
Pack a picnic up and, you know, off you go, and they love it. And also take if you've got a park that you always go to, take your kids to a different park. It's amazing how they think it's such a great adventure, but you're actually just going to a different park in a slightly different area, and
different
they think
slides,
it's great.
different swings. I think it's great.
Well, kids don't know what costs what, do they? They judge things by how much fun.
Ones, and often the free ones that enjoy the most. Like my boys love crabbing. We go down to the sea and we catch some crabs. Doing treasure hunts as well in the garden, they absolutely love. You know, doing nature trails. And I don't think you need a massissive imagination.
Especially in summer, I think, which is what we're talking about, summer holidays coming up.
Yeah, it's a lot harder in the winter.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day we had a paddling pool, which Florence has completely grown out of, and it's tiny. But all of the bath toys went in it, and the butterfly nets then became the fishing implements, and the kids were all round, and it was who caught the shark first was the game, and then the shark went back, and we made it up, Tom and I, and you know, I think they played it for about 3 hours, 4 kids.
Well, it's the old saying, isn't it? When you get a Christmas present for your child, they play with the box rather than the actual present. So child's imagination knows no bounds.
I think that's the key to let their imagination.
Well, isn't it? Den building's the other thing.
And also cooking with your kids. Kids love baking. They love making mess, any kind of mess. So yeah, just get a recipe book.
Cupcakes, I think, is something that's...
And decorating cupcakes, that's always a winner.
You can always get your child to help you clean the house as well, which is a good one I've found. We put the music on and we get the feather dusters out.
Especially boys.
It's great. It does sound awful, doesn't it?
They absolutely love cleaning.
Yeah,
they get a bit mad with the Hoover sometimes, but they fight over it.
Well, it's role play, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's role play. We do half an hour in the morning of dancing before nursery, which is just put some loud music on. She's obsessed with Adele, and rumour has it. And as soon as that comes on, that's it. She's dancing around, and we'll do that before bed as well.
Yeah.
Get her to clean while she's doing it.
It's not a bad idea. Now, it's time for our competition, for your chance to win a year's supply of Start-rite shoes. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is to submit a question on our YouTube channel and let us know whose shoes you'd most like to walk in for a day and why. And remember to leave your name and your contact details too. Now, let's talk shopping. It's very relevant as we're about to hit the summer sales, but we're not talking shopping for you, but shoe shopping for your little ones. Girls, now what I do is I will shop online and then they'll arrive and they won't fit her at all, and then I can't bother to send them back, so I end up giving them to somebody or keeping them as a present for someone. I'm not that successful, but I hate the idea of going into shops to do my shopping. I don't mind measuring her feet. What do you do?
Much like yourself, I tried online shopping and it didn't work for me. I found that the materials and the sizes that were returned in the post were not quite as I expected. So having Meg, she is 5 years old, she's quite fashion conscious, and she does try to drag me around all the stores with the big and bright you know, the advertisements, and she's a sucker for anything like that. But it is a case of actually having to calm her down first, then measuring the feet, and then deciding what type of shoes we like to, you know, she likes to wear, and compromising with school shoes, that kind of thing. But definitely for me, it's got to be the real shopping experience rather than internet
the actual
buying.
experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Because also then that's an experience for her as well, isn't it?
It is. I think as she's a girl, she's naturally interested in shoes, as am I. So.
But do you then not have to stop her wanting 5 pairs?
Yeah.
Because she can see them. It's like being in a sweet shop, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. But I think if you clearly define what you're after before you've actually walked through the doors and have the conversation, then I think it goes a long way in calming them down. We're specifically here today for school shoes. We can buy some weekend shoes next week, but today it's school shoes. No heels, and they've got to be black. And we drum that in before we get through the shop doors.
And then the shiny pink ones can happen another time.
Yeah, absolutely. They always happen. It's, you know, it's natural.
Yeah.
See, I've got 2 daughters, so especially the little one, she's absolutely obsessed with shoes. I mean, she just can't get enough of shoes. So I would try to avoid taking her to any kind of shoe shop, because it's just a nightmare. She wants to pull all the shoes off the shelf. She wants to try every shoe on. She wants the ones that are the ones that you really don't want to buy them, the really expensive ones, or the bright pink plasticky ones.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare. So what I tend to do is, you know, I know their size, so I mean, they're 3 and 5, so when they were little I used to get them properly measured and make sure they had the right shoes for their age. But now I think I go in and I do it all myself, because it's just so much easier.
Into a shop rather than
I go into a shop, and you know, just if they're with me, it's just much more of a nightmare, and you end up buying shoes that really you didn't want to buy. So yeah, I think it's easier if I do it.
But you can go back and get them checked as well, can't you? I think you can go back and get their fittings checked, even if you've bought them without the children. And there's certain shops will change them as well, they'll exchange them. But I've got 3 very lively boys, so I have to take them in. Because I've got wide feet and it's quite difficult. But one of the problems I have is a lot of the shoe shops don't have any entertainment for the children. So
that's a really good idea, actually.
So they do just pull all the shoes off because there's nothing else to do.
So there's a ticketing system, a bit like, you know, in the supermarkets, and you have to wait there. And sometimes there may be 10 people in front of you and you've got 3 boys, it is hell. And actually the amount of time it takes if you were to take them all individually, and then you've got the childcare issue where you've got to get the other 2 looked after. And my husband and I dread it. We absolutely dread going
especially when it's
shopping.
when it's the back to school season, and the shops are just rammed with parents and kids.
And there's no sizes left in the school.
Yeah, there's no, and your children, they've got their eye on the ones that there's no sizes left. It's just a nightmare.
But we waited for 2 hours. We were given a little bleeper at this very large, well-known store, which was a great system, so we could wander off shopping, go and get a bit of lunch. Came back, got son measured, said, sorry, we haven't got any in his size. It was just like,
What about the sales? Are you ever tempted to, because I do a bit more bulk buying. I'll see things in the sales and I'll buy her 3 pairs of shoes and just hope they'll all fit, because they're in the sale.
I think we're all guilty of that. It's just one of those things. I mean, you tell me a woman who doesn't like a bargain. It's one of those, you know, you do look at things like that and you do think, well, but it is a false economy. It is a false economy. My daughter has eczema. And if I buy her anything that's not a breathable fabric such as leather, then it's just a nightmare. Within a week her feet are itching and they're sweaty, and it's not good for her at all. And you know, who are we cheating really here if we buy the cheap shoes?
It's more the sales as opposed to the cheaper shoes. Like if I see a sale that I always think, you know, I'm a bargain hunter, I suppose, so I always do that thing of like, oh look, they were this much, but now so I'm saving money, so I'll buy 3 pairs in different colours or 3 different sizes, because I know she'll grow out of them quickly, when it's probably best to just get what she needs. That's the thing, I think. Okay, well, talking with this in mind, we have got some top tips from Start-rite on what to look for in a pair of properly fitted shoes. Take a look at this.
Nothing matters more than the health, well-being and comfort of our children. So when choosing their footwear, you'll want to know you are getting the best possible fit to ensure healthy foot development. Don't forget that measuring is only a guide, which is why it's so critical that various steps are undertaken during the actual fitting of the shoes. With this in mind, we want to show you some key things you should be looking out for. Here's a step-by-step guide to ensuring you get the best fit possible. Once they have the shoes on, they will stand the child up, making sure that the fastenings are checked. Starting at the back and working forward, they will check the heel, they will check the length, they will check the depth of the shoe, and they'll also check the width of the shoe. Asking the child to walk, this is important to see that there is no slippage at the back of the shoe. Don't worry, all Start-rite shoes include growing room. Visit startriteshoes.com where you can check out our fitting videos which show you how to fit each type of shoe, from lace, velcro, boots and even a sandal.
And as Andrew from Start-rite said, you can watch videos on both measuring and fitting shoes in store and online, either on the Start-rite YouTube channel or through startriteshoes.com. Well, that's not the end of the show yet, don't worry. I'd like to find out a little bit more about childcare issues for me, because I've got a couple of questions here. I've got one from Michelle. How do you balance work with life? I work full-time. I've been refused part-time working. I'm currently struggling to gain the balance and I feel I'm missing out on my son growing up. I play with him for half an hour before he goes to bed, but he's tired at weekends and I try to spend all my time with him, but it's hard with him having everything else to do. Any advice, please?
I totally agree with her. When I get home from work, I try to be with the kids, and you know, I am exhausted, and I try to hide how exhausted I am from them, because I don't think they want to see mummy coming back from work and just being kind of on the sofa and just, you know, all I can do is watch TV. So I do try to be super mum a bit, and then it gets to the weekend, and you know, you don't want to spend any time away from them because you're away from them all week. And actually what happens is you have no time for yourself, you have no time on your own. So I think both of them probably need to spend some time alone. I mean, perhaps her child could spend some time with somebody else at the weekend for a bit of the time, and she could maybe have some time on her own, so that it's not just so full on the whole time, and so you're
either working or looking after
children, and there's nothing else.
There's nothing for you
except sleeping and maybe getting some food at some point. You know, there has to be some downtime for mums, especially working mums, and stay-at-home mums. It's exactly the same. You just need some time on your own.
Well, I think it's your identity that you feel is missing when you're either at work or looking after children.
I used to make an effort and book in just a half-hour session, something like getting a manicure or something, something done just once a week, or
it's like you can
once
be
every couple of
Jane
weeks.
or whoever, rather than mum, wife, running your own business. You're then boss as well. So I just feel like I've got all these labels. I know it's a bit controversial, but one of the things, because I obviously considered it setting up my own business, I was in IT sales before and I couldn't go back. I just felt it just wasn't right. Is there are other options, you know, just because you had this career before you had your child, you know, really reevaluate. You know, you could do something else, and it's just looking at the reasons why you're doing the job you're doing. You know, does it fit anymore? And whether there's some other options out there for you, so you're not constantly beating yourself up.
Yeah, I think you underestimate how much you change when you become a mum.
Of course,
things do change.
And you neglect yourself. But we've got a really topical question here. On BBC Question Time last night, Jermaine Greer suggested that the sexualisation of little girls starts with Barbie dolls and kissing daddy goodnight. Surely she's taking things too far. What do your panel think?
I think she's taking things too far, because I played with Barbie dolls when I was little, or Cindy's actually, is what it was back then. Yeah. And I played with dolls. And
you kiss your dad goodnight.
And I kiss my dad goodnight. And I've now grown up to be a working mum, a career woman. I don't think it's hindered me or made me feel any different. I don't think it matters. I think you should let children play with whatever they want to play with.
I completely agree. When the sexualisation for me comes in when people are having spray tans at an early age.
Or young girls wearing mini skirts. I mean, that's a slightly different issue. But you know, playing with a Barbie doll. I mean, you know, when my daughters play with Barbie dolls, they're playing, you know, mummies.
Yeah, it's role play.
You know, they're not playing anything else.
No,
you could say that about Action Man, couldn't you? Sort of stereotyping boys as well. I think there's a lot in the press about stereotyping girls, but I think it's the same with boys. But you know, I don't think, you know, we look at our
Fireman Sam and
we don't look at
the
our
Builder,
husbands, and they don't look like any of the characters they used to play with. You know, they don't.
I think I look like Barbie.
I mean, I run a plastering company, which is obviously a very male-dominated arena as well. So, and you know, I was
breaking the mould. Excuse the pun. So. Okay, girls, well, time flies when you are having fun, and our half hour is up. My thanks to Jane, Stephanie and Nifa. Be sure to catch us next time on Mum's Half Hour on Friday the 8th of July, where we will be discussing school holidays, what to do with the kids, competitive parenting and buying their first shoes. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.